Here we are, just who we are, folks. We haven't done a video in a long time, have we? Or a radio program. Traveling around the country takes a lot of strength and a lot of energy. And as time goes on and as the body ages, I think it's important to learn to reserve one's energy and use it in the places that are most necessary. And so we have been resting, we've been relaxing, we've been taking on new things and moving to a new part-time job in order to continue to bring forth these wonderful YouTube messages to a world that basically needs it nowadays. I was listening to a person on YouTube who was talking about how enlightened he was and how we all needed to become enlightened, and he was saying how a lot of people aren't like that. He considered himself a liberal, which to him meant he believed in freedom for everybody, justice, equality, and all of those things. Then he started to rail against people who he called progressive liberals. Those, as most of you know, are the ones who fight to get freedom and justice and all of those things for people, while the others just sit, watch, and wait. The irony of the message was that he was talking about how the progressives wanted to shut down new ideas. They didn't want people to be able to speak freely. They wanted to censor people and destroy their lifestyles. And even as he said this, he was, in fact, speaking out against them, trying to ruin their reputations and trying to shut them down. And that is the irony and the difficulty and the danger of one making statements like that. One often finds that one is doing what one is accusing the other of. And this, I think, is necessary sometimes in order to accuse anyone of anything. So it is better, I think, to talk about that which is good, loving, and kind, and talk about one's own assets instead of putting people down. Our society is one where we tend to put people down most of the time, especially if we don't agree. This can make the ego feel good, but it's not helpful in the long run for us or for other people or the society, because I think we need to learn a new way of being. We need to learn to be able to discuss things, to argue sometimes, even to get angry. But it all must be done with respect and with the desire to learn more and to be more. It has to transcend our narrow thinking and the things that we have clung to all of our lives in order to feel secure, so that we become open and honest, and if necessary, we can shift, we can change, we can adapt. The solidified ego that many of us built up for the last 20, 30, 40 years has to become flexible. In some cases, the tight boundaries around it has to become shattered. And we can shatter that because the true self, the real self within, was the one that created the ego. And if we created the ego, we can change the ego. And we can recreate that ego every day, every second if need be. Yet again, if we did it every second, people would not know how to deal with us. What I am basically saying is this. The true self, the real self, the self behind everything is that which has created life and love and peace in this universe. The Tao, Buddha, Brahman, the creator God, the goddess, all of these things that have danced creation into reality Those things all exist within us, in our minds and in our hearts, as archetypes, living and breathing and existing within us, because we, in the real sense, are their representatives on earth, drawing our strength from these beings, if they be beings, and channeling love, peace, and contentment on earth. But this is something that we must really decide to do, due to the power given to every human being, the power of choice. We can choose to fly, or we can choose, like frightened caterpillars, to remain in the small cocoon we have woven until we eventually die and turn to mush. The question is, which will we do? Will we play it safe? Will we ignore anything that brings us problems? Will we try to deaden our emotions like our society tells us to do? They tell us, you see, that there are certain emotions that we should not display, no matter what. If it's men, they should not display sadness. If it's women, they should not display anger. And most people, in fact, should not show their anger most of the time. We're so afraid of feelings now that we have to walk on eggshells if we see someone's angry, when there's no need for that. Because if a person is angry all of the time, and that is just part of their temperament, they are not going to run off and start killing people all of a sudden. That's just part of their temperament. But we can't see that because, we've been told that any anger means that we're being out of control. Now, when we think that suppressing emotions is good, like Mr. Spock on Star Trek, like a Vulcan who can't feel anything, when we feel that that is the good thing and the model of behavior for all human beings, it becomes dangerous, because those emotions become like a volcano full of lava ready to erupt, and every once in a while they will explode. We won't have control over them. That is why most of the sages say that it's important to feel what we feel, to process what we're experiencing, to be one with the Tao, moving in time with the universe, doing the correct action at the correct time, taking on good behaviors and increasing them slowly while we diminish the bad and destructive behaviors. Slowly taking our time, over time, until what is left is good behavior, good habits, and what is diminished or gone are the bad habits that bring forth death and pain and destruction. We can all do this, but it has to be our goal. We go to the YouTube, we read books on self-improvement, we listen to many of the great teachers telling us what we need to do, how we need to do it. We go to churches and they speak of these gods that exist outside of ourselves and rules and laws that we should follow, while we live in a culture that does the same thing and does not follow any of those rules. And if we look back in church history and religious history, we find that most of the religions did not follow those rules. This brings us into a dilemma. And what do we do with this dilemma? We realize that there is a connection between each and every one of us and that higher power which we are seeking. And we realize that that's the most important thing. Some of these teachers, preachers, spiritual leaders can serve as mediators, but there comes a time when we have to break out of that chrysalis, to spread our wings like a butterfly, and to go out into the world of wonder, of joy, and of love. As a collective here in the West lately, we are being forced to go outside, to break free of the cocoon and fly. But because of our will, we don't have to do that. We can just cling to our old beliefs, melt down, and die. This is a possibility, and this is due to free will. But you see, the thing that's fair about the universe is this: the collective does not control the individual. Responsibility within the human mind and heart overrides the power of the society or the collective over each and every one of us. So even if the collective dies and melts down and remains frozen, causing nuclear wars and death and destruction, individuals can break free, spread their wings and fly. And as each breaks free, they will add to a new collective, a greater collective, an enlightened collective, or the rule of heaven on earth is what the early Christians called it. Each and every time one of us is born over again out of that cocoon or out of that hard shell, a new collective is born, and there is a new source of energy entering into the world. And as it enters into this world, we realize that we are free, timeless, we are ageless. We will not die because we have not been born. We have just entered into a world out of many. And we will simply move out of the world when it is time by shifting our awareness from this place to somewhere else. We have many parallel lives, many parallel times as divine beings and as eternal beings. We live in many places all at once, but as egos and as those who are working in order to create a better world and working in order to explore the greatness of the universe, we narrow down our understanding of the way things are. We focus our awareness into one part of what we describe as an eternity. But when there is no chronological time, you see, eternity is different. Eternity is the now. And so, in instances like that, time and place are related and disrupted. Instead of time, linear time, the focus when one awakens becomes movement and place. And we learn that we can move within a space from one place to the next. This is described by those who focus on and who are limited by time as reincarnation, as being born one life after the next. But in truth, it has nothing to do with being born one life after the next. It simply means shifting our awareness from one place to the next, one life to the next, one experience to the next. This, what I'm speaking about, is what I call high spirituality. It's getting beyond all of the nonsense, getting beyond all of the tropes, getting beyond all of the false and easy to understand premises into what our lives in reality are all about. I am saying that when we choose and allow ourselves to be, we are masters of time and space. And as we channel the creative, loving, and powerful energy that one calls God, as we channel the power and the love and kindness of what one calls God or Creator, we become that. And it is the same when it comes to the evil one, when we channel the hate, the anger, the greed, what is considered satanic, we become that. In other words, we are what we do. That is what religion used to be about. That is what spirituality is about for now, but changing so that it's becoming as hypocritical as religion. But true religion and spirituality is not about worshiping the divine. It is about embodying and becoming the divine. And that's what it's all about. Have you ever seen a flower trying to grow in a desert land? Then along comes a sweet spring shower to lend a helping hand, like the love of you and I. All at once it comes alive. You brought the love, and your love is life. That is what Earth, Wind, and Fire says. And as we sit and as we think and as we meditate, let us realize, you see, that our love is life. And when we continue to bring that love, we become that love. Just think about it for a few moments. Pass on the link for this radio station or this YouTube channel, now that we're on multiple channels, to your friends and family. Visit our website and continue to try to, if you cannot, because for some reason someone has found it favorable to block out some of the pages of our website, especially those that talk about love and social justice and empowerment. Visit us. Find out what we're doing. If you would like, make a donation. And most of all, be happy. Be true to yourself. But before you're really true to yourself, well, even as you're being true to yourself, take the chance and dare to find out who you really are. And as you come to the point of question, as you read, as you study, as you begin to understand, and then a conclusion pops up, don't be afraid to take it. Because it's likely that that truth will go against everything you learn from religion, from philosophy, from psychology about yourself. Because all these things have limited your belief system and understanding, not allowing you to be who and what you truly are. Thanks for being with us, and have a beautiful day.